Hey guys, this is a steaming pile of ship here, and I've got the video that I promised you in my Z-23 video. This is my review of the Tier 10 German destroyer Z-52. Now, this is going to be a lengthy video, so if I haven't already put it on screen, what I'm going to do is throw up a little timestamp. That way, if all you care about is the gameplay, you can skip to the time you see on screen right now. For those of you who do plan on watching the entire thing, though, I'll go over a little bit of the table of contents, if you will. First off, we're going to go with the modules, captain skills, consumables, equipment, whatever you want to call that. We'll go over that first. And we're going to go to the gameplay, and finally after that, I'll have a little bit of a summary on whether or not I would recommend the ship and who I would recommend it to based on their sort of play style, things like that. So, let's get started since it's going to take so long, and we'll real quick go over this is the permanent camouflage. I think it looks amazing. I hope you think that too. Now most tier 10s here, we'll start with a little upgrades of the ship itself, researchable, whatever you want to call it. Most tier 10s don't have this. They are pretty much just this top row, nothing else. But the Z-52 does get an upgrade to it, and that's all it is. You look on the Khabarovsk and you actually lose range on these torpedoes. They get more damage, they lose speed, blah blah blah. Z-52 is not like that. The damage is the same, the reload time's the same, but your speed for the torpedoes get quicker by 2 knots, and the range increases by half a kilometer. I'm pointing on, or I've got the old torpedo selected just so you can see that. Moving on there though, let's go to the consumables, because the consumables are one of the huge things that defines the ship in my opinion. First of all, I recommend using the premium for all of them because the consumables are such a huge thing for the ship. Get them all premium. You want to be able to use them more often, and you want to be able to use them just more times in a battle. First of all, we'll go on to one of the consumables that this ship really lacks in. This is your smoke. It's active for 77 seconds. Now, most people know that the Japanese ships have very, very bad smoke, but if we look at the Shimakaze smoke, it actually has 97 seconds of active time. So, that tells you something about the Z-52. Smoke sucks. Don't rely on this to sit and smoke like you can in a gearing. It's just not going to work. Moving on, you get hydro. That's obviously something no other destroyer line gets. The Germans have that completely to themselves. The only other destroyer in the game with hydro that isn't German is the premium Low Yang. Now, one thing I will throw out there about this hydroacoustic search, when the line was in testing, every tier destroyer that had the hydro basically had the equivalent German cruisers hydro from that tier. So, i.e., the Ernst Geda would have gotten the same as the Nuremberg, I want to say. That's not the same now. Live server, that got nerfed to just normal hydroacoustic. However, tier 10 does in fact get Hindenburg and Grosser Kurfürst hydroacoustic. So we'll go real quick and show you. You see the torp acquisition is 4.02 kilometers, the ship acquisition is 5.88 kilometers. Let's go and see. And you see those numbers are the exact same for the Hindenburg here. Going back to the Z-52, we'll go over the upgrades now. Now, first of all, I recommend Main Armaments Mod 1. There really isn't a reason to use either of these two. If you want to avoid getting detonated, you're going to use the flag for it. And you have no secondaries, so this is pointless. And your AA mounts, most of the AA power from the ship comes from the dual purpose main battery guns. So, get the main battery Mod 1. Second slot, I use Aiming Systems Mod 1. Now, there is one other choice you could use. You could use the AA mod, or the gun Mod 2 here. That's going to boost your AA from 6 kilometers, which is what it currently is on my ship, to 7.2 if I'm correct. I tried it for a bit, but the thing is, it's not as useful as this aiming mod because you don't have defensive fire. So, yeah, your AA range is pretty dang good. But it's not as useful because you can't scatter planes like you could in a Fletcher. So, go with the aiming mod 1. You're going to have Gunfire Control System Mod 2 in the third slot. This for me is great because it increases your range. This is going to help you with AFT to stealth fire. Now you could go with the reload here, and it is pretty nice, but I really think the thing that this ship has over other destroyers is great range. This is just the way to go for me. You know, you're not as fast as a Khabarovsk, so outrange the Khabarovsk, so your speed isn't as big of an issue. That's the huge thing there. Your torpedoes, they're not really your main weapon. Don't go for this unless you really, really, really hate firing your guns. In which case, probably don't want to go for this destroyer anyways. Go for like Shimakaze. Here you're going to have propulsion mod 1. This is important in my opinion, keeping that engine running. That way when you do get into a hairy situation, you don't lose your engine as often, which means you can get away from the enemy quicker. Speaking of moving quicker, I'm going to also recommend Propulsion Mod 2 right here because that's going to allow you to reach full power quicker. So even if you do lose your engine in a fight, you're going to get to top speed quicker. You're also going to be able, if you're sitting in smoke using your hydro, when you see some torps, you're going to be able to get out of the way sooner. Your rudder shift time is already pretty dang good at 4.5 seconds. To me, it's pretty nice. This is the way to go here. And finally, in your final slot, you're going to have Concealment System Mod 1. That way, your detectability, goes down. Now, I don't have Concealment Captain. I'm running the 333, which I'll go over in a minute. So my detectability range with the camouflage on here and this perk, or this skill, with this equipment is going to drop down to 7.1. So, since we were talking about skills a little preemptively, let's get into them now. Now these are all subject to change in the next update, so this, I don't know what you're going to use here. I really don't. I believe ship survivability, basics of survivability, and BFT are both getting put to to the 3rd level here, which is kind of annoying because these are very, very handy no matter what ship you're on. I think Last Stand is going to remain at tier 2, so I can always recommend Last Stand, and you're going to want this anyways because your guns are going to provide you with a lot of damage, but you're going to take a lot of damage using them sometimes. So get this so that you can mitigate, the punishment, if you will, when you do lose your steering or your engine. Tier 3, Superintendent, I believe this is going to stay put, so I would use this. Again, your consumables are the huge thing that really defines this ship from others, I think, so use this so that your consumables, you have more uses of them. I mentioned I go with the 333. This is what that is. I have Demolitions Expert, which is going to get bumped to tier 3 here, or to level 3. It will get slightly nerfed, but it'll cost less points too. I use AFT for the extra 20% range, and that also increases your AA firing range too, which is nice. And of course, Survivability Expert, which is going to give you 4,000 extra hit points since you're a tier 10. Once the actual 0.6.0 drops, you might want to forego one of these two, DE or SE, and get Concealment to make it even better. So we're here on the mountain range map, which is probably one of my least favorite maps in the game. Although, well, there's not a lot of maps that I really truly enjoy. I know it's hard. You can't really do much with water and rocks, But anyways, we spawn near B from the north side, so that's where we're going to head. There's 3 destroyers in here. They are on the enemy team anyways. There's a Kavarovsk, a Fletcher, and a Benson. Now, I'm really not worried about any of those because I'm going to spot the Kavarovsk before he gets close. And the other 2, I have Hydro, and they don't. Well, the Kavarovsk doesn't either, but, I have the advantage over them either way because I just pop my smoke and then I Hydro them. And if they're smart, they'll run away. I might even get a free smokescreen out of it. Anyways, we're heading towards B. Sometimes people will pop their engine boost going towards B. Personally, I don't, or any cap really, but I don't usually do that because for me, they're going to spot me whatever spawns here anyways, so there's really no point. If I have to run, then I might have wasted my engine boost. I've got the Hydro advantage anyways, so, But it looks like no one's here yet, so we're going to peek on in. We're going to basically travel on the very, very edge of this circle. That way, the enemy has to get very close to me and even closer to my friends in order to see me. And there's the Kavarovsk, so we're immediately going to pop our smoke, fire a few rounds as we slow down, and then we'll pop our Hydro. Now he's actually too far out to spot or be spotted by the Hydro. We have a friendly New Orleans behind us. However, knocked out his engine. Because he's fired at us and the New Orleans is that close, we're able to see him. And I really wanted to pop the Hydro more to see if he fires any torps or prevent any enemies. You know, if there's a Benson coming by or the Fletcher, I'll be able to spot their torps, or maybe even them if they get close enough. But it looks like I'm pretty much alone here on the cap because the cap is managing to count down. Nothing's paused it. There's the Khabarovsk again. Take a few shots while we can. And there's the Ibuki. We'll fire a few rounds at him. Now you see the shells are kind of floaty. That was at, what, 11 kilometers, 12 kilometers out there. It's not the best, but, well, it's not a gearing arc, that's for sure. We did set the Ibuki on fire, looks like. But since we've capped this, we're going to fire some torps near the Khabarovsk smoke, and we're going to get on out of here. Now we do have 2 cruisers right here. The enemy Khabarovsk telling me that I'm a pretty BA ship. I'll take that compliment. Now, I'm not quite sure what New Orleans over there is doing, because, well, he's pretty much, in my opinion, that's out of position there, but his name is Kamikaze Ivan, so who knows? Who knows what's going through his mind? I'm not going to charge there, though, because I am not that brave. Brave or stupid, you call it whatever you want. Excuse me. Anyways, looks like the enemy Khabarovsk has moved over to C because it's starting to get capped. Dodge these torps pretty easily. I think they were the Ibuki's torps. I'm not quite sure. No, they couldn't. Well, yeah, maybe. They probably weren't. They were probably Cap's torps. Yeah, he's okay. So he is over at C. We just spot him there. Or someone spots him. Looks like the New Orleans over there. And you see he's just getting laced out there. Why he went up there, he's just now turning around. To me, he should have turned around long before even entering B. I mean, I had it capped, so why push in further? Now you just have to defend it. But whatever, there's plenty of battleships over there, rather, that I'm going to go have fun with now. That Yamato not moving terribly fast, so let's see if we can light him on fire. Now the HE on the Z-52 really isn't all that great, which is why I take Demolitions Expert to help you set fires. Not only is the fire chance stock pretty bad, but the actual HE damage, penetration, whatever, those properties are terrible on the ship too. You'll see I'm getting a lot of shattered shells as these land here. I'm constantly looking around by holding down the right mouse button and basically just firing because that Yamato's not going to be able to dodge very easily. And he's almost slowed down, so let's see if we can get a little closer and maybe launch some torps too. I want to set him on fire. Come on. Looks like he might be backing up now. There's a Montana and a Zumo, so it'll be nice to get in range of them. We are going to pop smoke though now because I don't want to get in secondary range of the Yamato. He is focused on the friendlies in front, so this will be pretty nice. Remember though, I've only got 77 seconds to be in here. And you'll see in the corner there some guys getting mad because, well, that Kamikaze guy's getting mad because he went and suicided and basically is blaming me for abandoning him, when in reality I'm not going to follow him to his own doom, as I tell him in the chat. First fire on that Yamato, pretty nice to get that started. There we go. And that's something that is very hit or miss on the ship. Like, sometimes I'll have games where I set maybe 2 fires, and well, as you see right now, I've already got 2 fires set in this game. So you really, it's a very hit or miss, but having Demolitions Expert certainly does help. And there's another fire on that Yamato. He might put those out now, though. Especially with those torps incoming. If he floods, he'll certainly put them out. So let's go to work on the Azumo here. And this is where I really like having the range that you get on the Z-52 with the full range upgrade, whatever. I guess we'll move back to him because looks like he's still burning, whatever. Moving slower too. But the fact of the matter, oh, you see my smoke just disintegrated around me there, so had to move. But with the extra range, if I didn't have the range module, that Azuma would have been out of range, and he'd still be almost out of range there. But since I have the 16.8 kilometer range, I was able, had I stayed in that smoke, I'd be able to hit him for a ways. We've stopped firing because I want to get some torpedoes off, maybe move a little bit over here. Now that is a nice thing, our smoke is almost reloaded, which is nice, but we'll go ahead and pop the engine boost and start working with that. I do get spotted here, so we're looking to see what it could possibly be. It's probably a destroyer. And there's a Benson, but there's the Fletcher, and he is weak. So let's put him to the bottom. Take out his engine and a torpedo tube, always nice. And he's gonna go down. Oh, missed. Come on, sink him. And I didn't even have to pop hydro, there's his torps. We're gonna shoot at this Grosse Kurfürst here. I really love that Grosse Kurfürst when I'm playing it, but when you're against it, it can be quite the terror. So let's pop that smoke maybe. Well, maybe we won't have to. Repairing the fire since we're no longer in any secondary range, and yeah, we'll pop the smoke. And it looks like this Bismarck is going to reverse, but the Yamato is much closer, and he's the bigger threat, so let's go for him. Try and get some fires on him. I'm not going to worry about my Hydra right now. Yamato's actually going forward for once, which is, well, he hasn't been doing that much this game, so we got to aim in front of him now. And you do see that these floaty shells are much better than the Gearings, but they're still very, very inferior to something like the Khabarovsk and potentially even the Shimakaze if the Shimakaze had that much range. Since he is moving forward, we're gonna put some torps in the water here, keeping in mind that our Fletcher is probably not going to be anywhere near hitting it. Let's get this guy burning some more. And there Yamato just took ours out. Fletcher, you better get out of there, friend. Now our smoke is going to be going away pretty soon, so we got to keep that in mind. And one of the things I like to do in this ship is I'll basically find the range, and yep, I'm out of it right there. The smoke just dissipated around me. But I'll find the range, and then I'll basically just hold down right mouse button and just keep clicking and check back every couple salvos, but basically watch the smoke circle and see whenever the rearmost smoke circle disappears, then I need to start moving. And I made the mistake of not doing that. I did load AP right there just to kind of test it out because he was going fairly broadside, but, well, he decided to angle, so back to HE. And since we are burning him quite a bit, let's go for this Bismarck that's getting a little close. I want to say that Fletcher might actually be AFK over there, but I can't actually tell. Now this Yamato put his fires out, so let's get him burning again. And again, the HE is kind of hit or miss with this ship. Sometimes you'll have great luck with setting fires, sometimes you won't. The AP, I didn't really mention it too much, but it is obviously going to get more damage than most destroyers. However, your pen is really bad, so you do need targets to be perfectly broadside in order for it to really work. But you can see I'm getting 1,000 chunk. I'm going to do more damage with the AP right now than the HE. See, there's a 3,400 right there. And there we finish him off. Gonna fire the salvo, move back to HE, and then we'll start setting this Bismarck on fire again. Now again, I don't want to get too close to him because secondaries are pretty lethal on the Bismarck, and you see they're already opening up. We're gonna pop our engine boost, fire some torps, and try and get the heck away from him. And that's when we realize there's an island in front of us, so we're gonna have to basically stay in secondary range of him for a little bit. So we'll stop firing, even out our course. Maybe that Fletcher might not have been AFK. We'll pop our smoke now. This is actually our last smoke right here. We've already used them all. I mean, the game has only got 8 minutes left, but it really does seem like we used it so quickly, and that's one of the reasons why I recommend having the premium smoke. Looks like we might hit with some of those torps, and we have set 2 fires on this guy now, it looks like. His engines are done. We hit with 2 of those torps. He just took a big old nasty hit, but he has repaired it. So now I really want to get this guy burning again, so some perma-fires are burning on it. Now he's firing into my smoke. I thought he was going to get lucky with that real quick, but it looks like he didn't. So is the Azumo back there. And one of the things I also didn't mention was these torps reload pretty quick. The Azumo does get lucky and hit me. But the torps reload fairly quickly. Ours are almost reloaded again, and there's a fire that we wanted. If we can get another one, I'll probably start working on that Azumo and launch some torps at this Bismarck since they're almost back. Alright, let's see. Our smoke is going to start going away, so we're going to get the heck out of here now. And I'm basically launching torps in their general direction. Those are actually going to go for the Azumo, I think. The game is starting to get down to the wire. There's 2 destroyers and 2 cruisers on our team versus 3 battleships, a destroyer, and a cruiser. But these battleships obviously are going to have a difficult time dealing with me at my max range, so that's exactly what I plan to do. Get to max range and abuse that. And there's the Benson, let's see, and it's not locking onto him. Okay, now it is, but it's a replay bug at this point. Come on, Bismarck. Let's see if I can light him on fire. He did manage to repair that, but he's only on 7,000 health, so if I do set him on fire, it should kill him. We're going to be behind the island now, so let's fire at the Azumo while we can. I think we set the Bismarck on fire. It can be very difficult to judge if you're firing at a bunch of different targets, which of the targets you have, and I'm popping Hydro to spot any torps from that Benson. And I managed to actually spot the Benson, although he's on the other side of the island, so big whoop. I'm telling the team because they're asking me to smoke for the cruisers that I don't have anymore. But that's one of the things that can be very difficult to kind of make out. If you're not looking at your targets, there's a big chunk of health we just lost. But it's very difficult sometimes to know which target you actually set a fire on if you're firing at a bunch in quick succession, because the shells are so floaty that they're in the air longer, and sometimes you forget, how many salvos in you are. You don't know which one set the fire or whatever, so yeah. I'm really trying to stay here and help kill this Montana, but he's not going to die soon enough. But it looks like he's going to eat the torps from that Otago, and he's done. Now, something the Cavaros can't do that this can do, I'm still in range of that Bismarck right there. And here's where I'm tunnel visioning. You'll look on the minimap and you'll see there's a cruiser right behind me. That's the Ibuki. I forgot completely about him until I looked down and saw him. And so, since we're only 2 DDs left, I'm pretty weak, so is our other one, I think. We're just gonna basically slow down to try and dodge it. That was 4,000 hit points. Right there, we'd probably be dead if it weren't for Survivability Expert. But we were basically going to let the clock run out. And so we won the game. We just let the clock run out. Almost 200k damage. We got 15 fires, Arsonist, Witherer, High Caliber Award, a base capture. Going over the team score, we got just above 2,100 base experience. And I'm reporting this guy down here because, quite honestly, he was being kind of a dick in the chat, to be perfectly honest. So, and then you look that Yamato did quite a bit of damage, 100k just on him, 80k on that Bismarck. The rest were pretty lesser, Not a lot of damage on the rest of them. Finally, we're going to credits XP. I do have the permanent camos, so I'm going to get a lot more silver and a lot more experience from this. But yeah. So we had a pretty dang good result there. Just shy of 200,000 damage. We got the High Caliber, Witherer, and Arsonist, I believe. Um, but would I recommend this to people? I'm going to say the short answer is no. You give up so much for this ship, and you don't really get nearly enough, in my opinion, to return it. This was a great game, but I really don't have a lot of games like this in the ship. I think I've only had a couple games that actually cleared 100,000 damage. So this was definitely a huge outlier, the most damage I've done in the ship. Why would I not recommend it to everybody? Well, again, it gives up so much and gains so little. We didn't talk about the stealth firing penalty very much, but you can only stealth fire after 14.4 kilometers, meaning if you want to stealth fire with the triple point or the triple quad captain loadout, you're gonna have to get the full range setup for this, which really eats into, if you don't want to, if you wanted to have the reload, you're not going to be able to stealth fire as much. You also don't get the amazing arcs or the speed of the Khabarovsk, so being a gunboat really is hard for you. And the Khabarovsk has an extra turret on top of that, as well as much better fire chance and HE damage. You also don't have the smoke of the gearing. The huge thing about the gearing that everybody overlooks is it's got amazing smoke. And it's easy to overlook that when there's a bunch of radar ships and now hydroacoustic destroyers, battleships, all of that. Um, the gearing is much better at firing from its smoke, although you do have less range on the guns and much worse arcs, so I will throw that out there. The Z-52 tops this thing, in my opinion, for overall gun effectiveness. Again, though, it can't camp. And if you want a torpedo boat, the Z-52, while it's got fast reloading torps, they don't do that much damage. They seem to have a lower flooding chance. And they don't have nearly as much. I mean, you're launching 15 at a time in the Shimikaze versus 8 at a time on a Z-52. So you can't really torp nearly as effectively. And so, while my short answer would be that I don't recommend this ship to everyone, my longer answer would be to recommend it to people who love destroyers and play them more than other classes, because you're going to be able to make the ship work a little bit more than someone who mains battleships or carriers. I'd also recommend it for just veteran players who want something like this. You're going to recognize the weaknesses of the ship and mitigate those, while at the same time recognizing the strengths and amplifying those. And finally, I think the ship would be a huge, huge addition to any player who loves to division a lot with other Tier 10 destroyers. One of the main weaknesses of the ship is the bad smoke. So if you can go with another destroyer and piggyback smokes, there's a huge weakness right there that you just eliminated. And so, guys, this is pretty much going to be the end of my Z-52 review, but before I completely sign off and end the video, I'd like to ask a favor of you guys. I've only recently started doing these videos, but I really want to learn how to do them well. Not only will it help me in some of my classes at the university, but it also just help me make better content for you guys. So if you liked the video, go ahead and drop it a like and then write in the comments what you enjoyed about the video. Similarly, if you disliked the video, go ahead and give it a thumbs down and tell me what it was you didn't like about it in the comments. That way I can fix it in the future. I really need to know what I'm doing right and what I'm doing wrong. That way I'm able to keep up the good work and get rid of the bad stuff. But anyways, I hope you've enjoyed this. I'm certainly thankful that you watched it. And you guys have a great day. I'll see you on the high seas. This is a steaming pile of ship signing off.